Ari. Okay. Our guest for the next one is lawyer Willis Otieno, who's here. Willis, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Good to have you here. Karibu sana, where we fix the nation, one conversation at a time.
Thank you.
Broadcast meeting podcast, and where we also give you a quote of the day from Janet.
Yeah, the quote of today is by Toni Morrison, a well-known. She's a Nobel laureate, won a Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993, the first black woman to do so. Her quote is, if there's a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. Right? So if there's a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. Do you agree with that?
I agree totally.
Okay.
Yes. Because it's in books that all things that we think are reduced. The Constitution as a book tells us everything how we are supposed to organize our lives. Yes.
And if there's something in the Constitution you think is not covered, write your own Constitution.
No. Amend, include it. You amend the Constitution.
If there's a book that you want to read.
If you're taking it quite literally, then.
No, you amend the Constitution to provide for it, which is allowed, or you come up with an act of parliament.
That is writing.
Right. Yes.
That is writing.
That's writing.
If we were to expound on this and then say, the way people tell you, it would be the same. When someone is saying, inafaa ufanye hivi na hivi na hivi, then someone tells you, wewe endo ufanye. It's the same.
There's
a book that you want to read.
It's supposed to inspire.
Yes,
It's supposed to make you feel attacked. It's supposed to inspire you to write your own, write your own story.
Yeah, you feel that there's something that's not being done. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yes. The Constitution of Kenya, as the Constitution lawyer Willis Otieno is telling us, starts with the preamble and then comes to Article 1 and establishes who owns this document. All sovereign power in the Republic of Kenya belongs to who?
The people. Yes.
And the people shall. The people shall only be exercised in accordance with this Constitution. The people may exercise this power directly or through their democratically elected representatives. Then the Constitution goes ahead to tell us how we hold elections. We have various elected representatives, and we shall elect them once on the second Tuesday in August in every 5th year. I start with the one where it's mentioned first, Article 101 of the Constitution, election of members of Parliament. A general election of members of Parliament shall be held on the second Tuesday in August in every 5th year. When it goes to mentioning the election for county assemblies, for governors, for the president, it also talks about it shall happen on the same date as the general election for members of Parliament. Correct, Willis?
Yes.
Now here you are raising an issue on English. A general election of members of Parliament shall be held on the second Tuesday in August in every 5th year. From 2022, when is the 5th year? When is the second Tuesday of August in that 5th year? Many people are working with August 2027. Wakili Willis Otieno is acting with August 2026.
I'm working with August 2026, and I'm not working with the Constitution leads me to August 2026.
Shika mic, Willis.
Asante sana. The motion that I'm proposing is that the next presidential elections in Kenya should be held on the second Tuesday in the month of August of the year 2026. Why am I saying so? I'm coming up with this suggestion in recognition of the duty to defend the Constitution. I'm calling on Kenyans to apply the constitutional provisions with fidelity. They should not circumvent the Constitution to accommodate political interests. And the nation needs to wake up from what I refer to as a national inertia and to give up the hang-ups from the old Constitution, which had provided for a term limits of 5 years. Those provisions of the old Constitution that had specifically provided for 5-year terms were dropped in 2010. And we came up with a Constitution whose architecture required that elections are held in the 5th year, not after the 5th year. And to that extent, Uhuru Kenyatta's first term as president, the fifth year started on the 4th of March, 2016, and was to 2017, and was to end on the 4th of March, 2018. The second Tuesday in August of that fifth year fell on the 8th of August, 2017. Uhuru Kenyatta never served as president for 5 years. He served in his first term for president for 4 years and 5 months. That was a true interpretation and application of the Constitution. I am now struggling with a nation that seems to think and forget that a president is entitled to a 5-year term. He's not. How are we going to achieve this? We'll achieve this purely by saying, adherence to the Constitution, go and look at your Constitution, second Tuesday of August in the 5th year, conduct your elections. Pure and simple. Are there any budgetary implications of this? Of course, we finance our elections management body every year, and we make provisions on the conduct of those elections. And so the budget implications of it are not out of the ordinary. They are the usual financial commitments the Kenyan people make whenever they're supposed to donate their sovereign power to their democratically elected representatives. There are supporting cases in support of this. I'll say this. One thing Kenyans need to understand, the structure of our Constitution adopted the American model. That is why you have a Supreme Court. You have a bicameral parliament. You have a pure presidential system. This model was moving away from the Westminster model, mixed member, which was a quasi-presidential and quasi-parliamentary system. We went purely presidential system. And if the American Constitution was at the background of our drafting, and we've adopted those structures, we equally adopted the 4-year term limits for elected offices. But for certainty, the Constitution of Kenya adopted that the elections are held on the second Tuesday of August, in the 5th year, inside the 5th year. So you are guaranteed a 4-year term. Then on the second Tuesday in August, we conduct elections in that 5th year.
Okay.
All right.
Sasa hii leo tumpatie tu lakini.
Yes, let's. And the question is on my tongue. I can go in. I'm just thinking because the Court of Appeal and the High Court ruled years ago that elections should happen in 2027. So I'm curious, why revisit if it's already been?
Let's put into context the Court of Appeal decision. In fact, the Court of Appeal decision supports what I'm saying. Because in that Constitution that you have, the only people who the Constitution gave a 5-year term were the MCAs in Article 177(4). Specifically provided that a member of the County Assembly shall serve for 5-year term of 5 years. So when the MCAs went to court, the elections were called on the second Tuesday before the conclusion of their 5-year term. They went to court saying, wait a minute, the Constitution in 177 gives me a 5-year term. Why are you calling elections before my term comes to an end? You are cutting my term short by almost 8 months. And the High Court told the MCA, you're actually right. You are entitled to a 5-year term. But also, the Constitution calls for your elections to be held in the 5th year, the second Tuesday in August in the 5th year. So we are sorry that you are given a 5-year term, but the same Constitution said we must hold your elections before you conclude it. So your only recourse as an MCA, that's the High Court speaking, is to go and seek compensation for the period you've not served. The matter goes to the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal says, yes, our system is that elections are held in the 5th year. That's what the Court of Appeal says. And the Court of Appeal proceeds to define when the count starts and even finds when the 5th year lies, where it lies. And the Court of Appeal, in its decision, Andrew Limo case, says the 5th year for that period was running from August 10th, 2020 to August 10th, 2021. But curiously, the court proceeded to say, But the elections will be held in 2022.
Oh, 2022.
That time.
Okay.
Yeah, but it found outside the fifth year, but properly defined the fifth year when it started and when it concluded. But there is no justification, there is no rationale, there is no ratio decidandi that the court relied on in arriving at the date of August 2022. But you can say that was not an issue in contestation in that case. So that was more of what in law we say, a statement that is just made by incurium. It was not a contestation before that court. But then they told the MCAs, we are sorry, you will never serve for 5 years. Your election must be called before the 5 years end. And even your remedy of being compensated, you cannot be compensated because you are serving public office. It's not a private enterprise. So the public will not compensate you for not serving for 5 years. So that case affirms that there is no guaranteed 5-year term in our constitution. More so, even to those who are given that 5-year term specifically in the constitution.
So this was the case taken by MCAs to court.
Yes.
There was another case taken by Okiya Mtata.
Yes.
And Nyakina Wycliffe Gisebe.
Yes.
In November 2020.
Yes.
What was that case about?
Now, that case sought to get the High Court to interpret the date of the general election.
Yeah.
And the court, if you look at the judgment, does not discuss again. In fact, the court adopted the decision made by incurium by the Court of Appeal to say the Court of Appeal, in any event, has since said that the elections will be held in August 2022, so I'm not going to delve into it. And it dismisses the petition, so there's no discussion in the Mtata case. But also, you must note, there's what in law we call the course of action. The course of action in the Mtata case was in relation to the 2022 presidential elections. That course of action is different from the course of action to date. Because today, the course of action that we are seeking is an election to be held within the year 2026, the 5th year, when it falls. This is a fresh course of action. It has not been litigated anywhere. And we will be inviting the members of the public and the courts to take into account the provisions of our constitution on when the presidential elections are supposed to be held. So it's different from the Mtata case.
Okay, go ahead, Mariam.
I'm wondering if this is a grammatical question, a mathematical question. The first year from 2022 runs from August 2022 to August 2023.
Yes.
Yes. And then the second year runs from August 2023 to August 2024. Am I correct?
Yes.
So then the third year falls from August 2024 to August 2025.
Yes.
The fourth year falls from August 2024 to August, 2025, sorry, to 2026.
Yes.
Fourth year.
Yes.
So then the fifth year should fall from August 2026 to August 2027.
Yes.
So you want to start with when the fifth year is starting.
So let's put it in context. The fifth year, as per our constitution, if you read Article 259, sub-Article 5, that helps you to define what a year is. The fifth year will run from the 9th of August, 2026, and it will end on the 8th of August, 2027. So your constitution tells you to conduct your presidential elections on the second Tuesday in August in the fifth year. So we are all agreed that the fifth year runs from 9th of August 2026 to 8th of August 2027. So look for the second Tuesday inside that fifth year.
It can only fall within 2026.
It can only fall within 2026.
Okay.
Then you conduct your presidential elections. And that will be constitutional. And I must say this, in the good book of Hosea, we are told that my people suffer for lack of knowledge. And so also with Kenyans today. Many people are still living in the historical prism of a 5-year presidential term. That if you're elected as president, you're entitled to 5 years.
Yeah.
That's a function of history. The Kenyan people rejected that on the 18th of August, 2010. When they adopted their new constitution, we rejected it. Because the previous constitution had specifically provided a president shall serve for a 5-year term. That was the writing of the Section 9. We dropped that language and adopted the language in Article 136 that says the elections of a president, in fact, in Article 142, that says a president shall serve for a term from the date when he is sworn in until the date when the person next elected president under Article 136 2A is sworn in.
Right. I'm reading that from Article 142.
Yes.
The president shall hold office for a term beginning on the date of their swearing in and ending when the next elected president is sworn in. They shall not hold office as president for more than 2 terms.
Yes.
Now, that does not give a number of years, though.
But it gets you, if you look at 142, read the whole of it, it mentions to you the process of electing that person. And it says, until the date when the person elected president under Article 136 2A is sworn in.
Now, let me quote Justice Weldon Korir in this Okiya Mtata case of 2020.
Yes.
Okay? He says the analysis, when he peruses the pleadings and submissions, I find that the only issue for determination is whether the next general election will be held in 2021 or 2022. Okay? But also he says the provisions of the Constitution concerning elections, and he starts, Member of Parliament, Article 101, which I read, shall be held on the 2nd Tuesday in August in every 5th year.
Yes.
Election of President, and it goes into 136 2A, an election of the President shall be held on the same day as a general election of members of Parliament, being the 2nd Tuesday in August in every 5th year. Okay? Member of County Assembly. And it says, a county assembly consists of members elected or registered, blah, 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 and constituting a single member constituency on the same day as a general election of members of Parliament, being the 2nd Tuesday in August in every 5th year.
Yes.
Election of county governor and deputy.
Yes.
Also it goes and says, being the 2nd Tuesday in August in every 5th year.
Yes.
He says, this case concerns the conflicting interpretation of the above provision of the Constitution by the petitioners and the respondents, and this court is therefore called upon to engage its interpretive skills in this matter. And it says, to interpret this, the court will be guided by the Constitution. Article 259 of the Constitution talks about construing this Constitution. How do you interpret the Constitution? 259(1) says, the Constitution shall be interpreted in a manner that A, promotes its purpose, values and principles. B, advances the rule of law and the human rights and fundamental freedoms of the Bill of Rights. C, permits the development of the law. And C and D, contributes to good governance. So he says that this is how we shall interpret this Constitution. I just want to jump all the way to where he says, the court is bound to interpret the Constitution in a holistic and purposive manner in order to promote its purpose, values, and principles. The article which provides the date for the election of the President, governors, members of Parliament, and MCAs must be interpreted in a manner which ensures that all elected officials benefit from serving full terms and are also elected on the same date. So he goes to say the inevitable outcome is, before that, is that
the term of office.
He also says that this court is bound by the determination of the Court of Appeal, in that case that you've quoted, that the next general election will be held in August 2022. The 9th day is the 2nd day of Tuesday, 2022. Okay? It's indeed contrary to the letter and spirit of the Constitution for the petitioners to come and say 17th August, which was going to be the 3rd Tuesday. He says, I've found that. Where have I lost it?
I think it must be 27, para 27. I think
The term, okay, yes, 27.
Yes.
Justice Weldon Korir says, the term of office of a president, a governor, a member of parliament, and a member of the county assembly is 5 years, unless otherwise terminated in accordance with the law.
Yes.
Agreeing with the petitioner's arguments will violate the Constitution, as it would reduce the terms of the current holders of those positions to 4 years, and indeed reading the Constitution as proposed by the petitioners will result in absurdity, thereby going against the principle established by the Court of Appeal. In that case of Center for Rights Education versus John Harun Mwau. Okay? So basically the court says, look, this is the interpretation of the court. There is a term, and the term is 5 years. And there's a date for an election. It's a second Tuesday of August in the 5th year.
Yes.
And all those officers shall be elected on the same day.
Yes.
So, Sasa Willis, Court Isha Sema, why are you here?
You know.
So just to thread on what Eric said, yes, if the Constitution is clear on how long an MCA's term should be, which is the 5 years, and then it's clear that all of them should be elected on the same day, then that means the rest also get 5 years. If it's clear on 5.
No, what happens is this. The MCA has gone to court to claim 5 years. That has been given by the courts. And the courts,
been given by the court or the Constitution?
By the Constitution. And the courts have told him, you are not entitled to 5 years, we are sorry. In fact, the MCAs who were elected in 2013, 2017 didn't serve for 5 years. The MCAs elected in 2017, 2022 did not serve for 5 years because the court told them, you must go home. You cannot at this point again
2017 to 2022, they served for 5 years.
They did not serve for 5 years.
How so?
No. You count the term in office.
Yeah.
From the date of swearing in for a term of MCA, they were sworn in around the month of October, and the elections were held in August. They lost around 4 months.
Or they're swearing in.
Yeah, that's when you assume office. Assumption of office is in the Constitution. They didn't serve for 5 years.
So they served for
around 4 years, 7
4 years and a few months.
Okay. Even Uhuru Kenyatta in his second term never served for 5 years.
Is that similar to members of the National Assembly?
Members of the National Assembly equally did not serve for 5 years.
Very good.
Because at the time when they were sworn in, to the time when the elections were called, the 5-year period had not lapsed.
Okay.
In fact, what I'm telling you is this. In our Constitution, since it was passed, nobody has served solidly for 5 years. But there's an urban myth in town today. I call it urban myth. That people are elected to serve for a period of 5 years. And they normally serve for 5 years. Kenyans count years based on calendar years. 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, 2027. No. Your Constitution, Article 259(5), tells you to count years based on the date when the event occurred to the corresponding date in the next year. The eve of the corresponding date in the next year. Now I want to tell you this, Eric. There's a question you asked me.
Is it possible to take it up after the break? We are literally just running.
Sorry.
But please hold that thought because we need you to come back with it after the break. Yeah.
Willis Otieno is a constitutional lawyer. He is here today to advance the argument that the next general election should happen in the second Tuesday of the 5th year after the last general election. And he says that second Tuesday of that 5th year is 11th of August, 2026. Not the 10th of August, 2027. What do you think? He's putting that argument. What's your interpretation of the Constitution? What's your understanding of it? We'll be back shortly after this break.
Today, there's a mathematical debate happening in studio.
Yeah.
Over to you, Mariam and Eric. And
Willis Otieno, lawyer, is here, and he has, raised a whole debate. Debate has gone to court of appeal. It has gone again to court. It has been settled in the High Court. Willis Otieno is starting it. He's bringing it back.
He's bringing it.
The election shall be held.
Yeah.
General election shall be held on the second Tuesday in the 5th year. The interpretation of that is what Willis is bringing today.
Can we read some quick feedback before we come back to the conversation?
Watu wanasema.
Lenny is saying, what? T for tough. Because, Akili, you're making my mind twirl. Kumbe, this thing can come before 2027. Tibbs is saying, the devil is in the detail. But the Kikombe and Jeffrey Ndai are both talking about IEBC how will it be constituted? Now, to conduct an election for 2026, Peter Eric Maura says, from the day the current is sworn to the day the next is sworn in, has to be 5 years. So some of them have already gone into, okay, should this happen?
Yeah.
How does that throw us into a tailspin with regards to carrying out an election? But you were deliberating on something, I think, the two of you, about a second Tuesday.
Right. I was imagining a situation where this is not specifically for 2026, like he said. But for example, should the 5th year start on August 9th, 2026 to August 8th, 2027?
Okay.
I'm imagining a situation where that 2027 August has 2 Tuesdays. If the month starts on the 1st, the second Tuesday would then be the 7th or the 8th. But either way, the second Tuesday would fall within that August.
Mariam,
Yes.
excuse me. Every August has at least 4 Tuesdays.
I'm not refusing.
Just talking about the
So what you're
dates
saying
coinciding.
is,
But our cap,
there's a likelihood
our
that
cap is
an
8th.
August has 2 Tuesdays.
No. If our cap is 8th August, the 5th year falls between August 9th, 2026 and August 8th, 2027. So our cap date is 8th August. That's when the 5th year ends.
So if I look at the
And if
calendar
there's
and
2
I'm on
Tuesdays,
8th of August,
I'm giving a hypothetical.
Go ahead.
Don't use the actual calendar because I'm trying to think of it long term. And if that 2027 August has 2 Tuesdays, then you could say that the election could fall on the second Tuesday of that August 2027.
Let me just explain it this way.
Okay.
What you're supposed to do when it comes to identifying the date, you take the 5th year, which is 9th of August 2026 and ends on the 8th of August 2027. Then you look for which is the first Tuesday.
from
Right,
9th
from 9th of August, or from the date from that year, right, the first Tuesday. The second one is the second Tuesday. Third Tuesday.
Let's do it practically. Let's
Fifth.
go to the calendar.
So that there'll be no point where you say that you look at the 2026 Tuesdays independent of the 2027 Tuesdays.
Okay.
You list them all as first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So the ones at the tail end will be either the third or the fourth Tuesday.
Okay.
Depending on the calendar.
But
There's something I wanted to say.
Wait. Explain that point. So you say we start counting from the 9th of August, right?
Yes.
And then we go into, it ends on the 8th of August.
Yes.
So in 2026, the 8th of August is a Saturday.
Yes.
Okay?
So anything done after the 8th of August
So the
is
11th
unconstitutional.
Is
The 6th year.
unconstitutional.
So the 11th will be the first Tuesday.
The 11th of...
11th of August,
August
2026.
yes.
That's the first
That's
Tuesday.
the first Tuesday.
But in the calendar, it's a second Tuesday.
Because in the 5th year, you're
Okay.
looking at in the 5th, that falls
So
in the 5th
our 5th year begins on the 9th of August, 2026.
Yes.
And so our first Tuesday is the 11th.
Yes.
And our second Tuesday is the 18th.
18th, yes.
So then those elections should be on the 18th.
18th. But let me say this, something I wanted to say. Eric, there's something...
It's preposterous to imagine.
Eric, there's something I wanted to say.
Say
you
it,
know,
please.
it's important that we look back into history. And I'm guided by somebody called Galileo. Galileo was detained for propagating that the earth was round.
That's true.
He was detained. Giordano Bruno was actually executed. He was burnt to death for propagating that the earth is round. That time people thought it was heretic to even imagine that the earth is round and to propagate it. So also today, I am just inviting Kenyans that look at your constitution and interpret it on your own, because this is basic English. There's no legalese involved in this interpretation. And your constitution tells you to conduct elections on the second Tuesday in August in every 5th year. That is basic common sense. Some people think that I have a light bulb moment that I'm trying to propound heretic ideas. I'm not saying anything that is outside the confines of your constitution. And the people who are challenging this position are largely informed by the hiccup and the hangovers of the old constitution, which had given specifically a 5-year term to elected officials. That provision of 5-year term was taken out. And I challenge any Kenyan today to show me which part of our constitution gives the president a 5-year term. Anybody who shows me that, I will give 1 million shillings.
Do you think Kenyans are also pushing back? And we can come back to the semantics of dates. Is it because of political disruption? election preparedness, or is it something else? Because obviously you're here to defend the case, but a lot of people are saying, no, the Constitution states 5 years and therefore it's 2027. Is the pushback that, or do you think it's more? Do you think Kenyans are, just like the disruption is overwhelming for them?
The point is this. It's largely, I draw from the song of Bob Marley, emancipate from mental slavery, the songs of freedom.
Oh, sorry.
So people who are mentally captured are still attuned to the old. We've not fully transited to the new. The old is dead and the new has been born. What I'm inviting the conversation is, can you take time to understand this new? What does it entail? What does it mean? So release your mind. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
But is it practical? Say, for example, in a perfect world, Kenyans are like, hey, nimeshika, I got it. Aya. August 2026 feels like it's tomorrow.
Let me answer you. In 2017, it was practically implemented. We held our elections on the second Tuesday in August in the 5th year. Uhuru Kenyatta served for 4 years and 5 months. It happened in 2017. So I am telling you, even now it is possible. It can happen. Chebukati in 2017 was appointed as a commissioner, a chairman, and Chebukati and his people. They were appointed in January, almost February of 2017, to conduct elections in August. So it's possible. We have so much time to conduct free and fair elections in August next year as required in our constitution.
Constitutionally, Willis, it does provide for a 5-year term, again, for MCAs.
Yes.
For MCAs,
yes.
It also states that elections for all these elected positions should happen on the same day.
Yes.
I'm not claiming to, interpret the constitution, but then does that not give them the same term? If my term is 5, if my term is 5 years and our elections happen on the same day, then that means my term.
That interpretation, the problem with it is that it ignores the provision of Article 142, which specifically provides for the term of office of president and how to calculate it. Nowhere does it say...
It's from swearing in to swearing.
Yes, it doesn't say anywhere that you calculate it based on the MCS. It is on its own, it's standalone. Then let's come to your argument about the MCS. Our practice, what we've practiced in this country, what has now acquired a constitutional norm. MCAs who are entitled to 5-year term. The first lot of MCAs, lot 1, did not serve for 5 years. They were told, no, we must cut your 5-year term short because of the midterm elections. The second lot of MCAs were told the same thing. But now, conveniently, for the first time, we are telling this lot of MCAs that, can we use your argument that you have 5 years term to confer 5 years to William Ruto? Can we divorce these discussions from William Ruto and discuss our constitution, what it says about the 5th year? You conduct your elections inside the 5th year. And this is for posterity.
I get that. And I am excited to have the opportunity to Fagia as soon as possible to sweep the house.
In fact, for your information, these elections we are talking about is not just for President Ruto.
It's for
all of them, are supposed to leave office next year, and we Fagia water next year.
Fanya hivi, fungua calculator. Pia fungua calculator.
Calculator.
Okay. I shall refer to the Court of Appeal decision in the case of the AG and other against Andrew Kiplimo, Sang Muge, and 2 others, which the Court of Appeal said the 5th year would mean in each election year beginning in August every 2nd Tuesday and ending on the eve of the 2nd Tuesday in August of the subsequent year to make 1 year. Okay? So they give the example of the period between 2017 and 2022. And they said, counting 365 days for 1 year and taking into consideration the exact month from 1 year to the subsequent year, the first year was counted from Andika.
Okay.
Right? Year 1.
Year 1.
8th August 2017 to 8th August 2018. That was year 1. Second year, 8th August 2018, 8th August 2019. Year 2. Okay? Third year, from 8th August 2019 to 8th August 2020. Okay? 4th year is from 8th August 2020 to 8th August 2021. 5th year is from 8th August 2021 to 8th August 2022. Now, the court says the second Tuesday in August in every 5th year, after the elections of the 8th August of 2017, would take the next general election date to 11th August 2022. Okay?
Yes.
That was the second
From 2017 to
You
now?
said 11th August
2022
2022 was the date of the general election.
The 5th year.
Right.
Let's use that same argument. You have your calendars open.
Right.
Calendar
Now,
calculator,
let's start from 8th August 2022.
No, anyway. Okay.
Kwa calendar.
Yes.
Sawa.
Now let's count the current year term.
Okay.
Are we in calendar?
Yes,
Okay.
calendar. Or you can even write down, actually. Then we shall look at the calendar on the 5th year.
So,
Again, continuing the same argument,
So,
8th August 2022 to 8th August 2023, year
it's the
1.
first year.
8th August 2023 to 8th August 2024, year 2. True? 8th August 2024 to 8th August 2025, year
Year
3. 8th August 2025 to 8th August 2026, year 4. Okay? 8th August 2026 to 8th August 2027, year 5.
5.
Second Tuesday, following that argument of the Court of Appeal, says that after 8th August 2027, that's when we have our next election. Is that not so? See, Court of Appeal imetuambia.
No. What you are missing, the point is this. In
Have I
fact, let me give you, just it's using your own, just read the same Court of Appeal. It tells you.
I'm there.
If you agree with this,
Okay.
the second Tuesday in August and every 5th year after the elections of 8th August 2017, we'll take next general election to 11th August 2022. Let me look at the date of 11th August 2022.
11th August 2022.
When I tell you that decision is spine curium, that finding is spine curium.
It was a joke. 11th August 2022 was a Thursday.
Thank you. It just tells you people didn't even pay attention to what they were saying. I mean, it's basic. It's basic common sense. I am inviting the people of Kenya to consciously
And then
pay
we did the elections on the 9th of
on
August.
the 9th of August. So it means even that election, if you were to lose this decision,
Was against the
unconstitutional.
law.
Yeah. But it's basic common sense. It's second Tuesday of August in this 5th year. And the courts proceeded to painstakingly list for you
Date by
year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4,
And then
year
made a
5.
mistake.
Then decides to tell you, oh, by the way,
Hold it in
conduct your
August.
elections on the 11th of August.
On Thursday.
And you want me to apply that decision?
It was a time. It was meant to
There's
be
nothing like typo.
It was meant to be 16.
It was a typo.
This 11th.
It was meant to be 16.
No.
Would
Someone
such a,
calling for their math
That is why
teacher.
I say.
Mwalimu wa math,
That is why I
Mr.
say.
Wambogo.
That is why I say.
oh, there's somebody in the comments.
That
Yeah,
finding.
for their math teacher. Mr. Wambogo.
Colin.
That finding.
Can I ask you, Akili, would
Yes.
such a shift risk undermining democratic institutions, do you think?
Yeah.
My argument is this: you undermine democratic institutions when you start circumventing the provisions of the Constitution, because what the other side is propagating is that let us conduct elections after the 5th year. Let's conduct the elections in the 6th year without any legal foundation. So today we say we are accepting 6th year. Tomorrow you'll have a dictator worse than William Ruto and says, no, since you didn't conduct in the 5th year, conduct it in the 7th year. Another one will come up and say, no, since we are now doing it outside the Constitution, there is no red line where to stop.
Right.
You are better off adhering to the black and white letter of the law, because that is predictable, as opposed to leaving it to whims.
Which is
Because
what you think
when you leave it to whims, today you may say you are putting
Songa.
pressure on
Well,
27.
yeah.
Wow.
Umevuka kwa mwendo wa aste aste
Na
na
meenda.
kuunga mjadala unaosema.
Honestly,
Mariam, the debater, you have crumbled too soon.
no, it's not too soon. You know how it got me?
Yeah.
Because of that.
Of the
that
first
thing
place.
of that thing of where you give people an inch and they take a mile. It is my life's mantra not to give the inch so
Yeah,
they
so
don't
that they
take
don't take the mile. So what happens now? Okay, Mariam has been
Mimi-
convinced.
sorry,
Mr. Songa.
Do you think that there is enough weight for people to say, like, what happens with this information? How do you turn this into people calling for what is true and just?
What we need to do is, and I thank you very much for inviting me on this platform. We need to now change the national consciousness to adhere to the Constitution. And the national conversation should move towards what the Constitution provides. The unfortunate bit is that the legacy politicians who occupy most of our public spaces, when they speak 2027. What they're doing is they're subconsciously planting in the minds of Kenyans that I was elected for 5 years, my next election will be in 2027. They're controlling the narrative by subconsciously feeding in that year so that the masses don't look into their constitution. So I'm now inviting the media as an ally, and Eric, thanks for inviting me here, that we should be having a conversation by saying, as per our constitution, our elections shall be in 2026, as per our constitution. That now becomes the national conversation. Let them counter by telling us why 2027 and not 2029.
I'd like to say, and I agree, let's interrogate this. And by saying we interrogate, I'd like to look at several. You know, the journey of this constitution, it was not just a happenstance.
Yes.
So we had Professor Ash Palgai and a commission that went around the country and they collected views. And then they called all of us to Bomas, and we went to Bomas. In the conversations at Bomas, the Bomas draft, what does it say about the terms and the elections? Then there was the Kilifi draft that went to the 2005 referendum. Does it mention this? Because these are the ones, plus others, that were used by the committee of experts, led by the late Zamba Kitonga, to look and harmonize what the thoughts of Kenyans plus global best practice have been. When the committee of experts gave us the draft, the harmonized draft constitution in 2010, it had this provision for elections, and the thinking was a 5-year term. When we went to vote for the Katiba on the 10th of August 2010, what were people giving? We, the people, give unto ourselves this constitution. What were we giving ourselves? Were we giving ourselves a 5-year election cycle? Or were we giving ourselves the letter of the constitution?
Right.
So that when we interpret this now holistically, like the court says, are we looking at it from the thinking? What's the spirit of the constitution? What is it that we wanted to do? Maybe in writing down, the wakilis who are writing it, the drafting it, they may have confused, they must mixed up and said second Tuesday of Tuesday of the 5th of... Maybe it was the problem with the writing. But is it the problem of the thinking? Were we thinking to have elections after 4 years? Or were we thinking to have elections after 5 years when we were voting in 2010 for the constitution?
Letter versus spirit.
Let me answer you. What was the spirit of the people of Kenya? And that spirit can be found in what was our practice then. We used to have December elections.
Yeah.
Our elections were in December. And Kenyans were saying, these December elections disrupt our Christmas, they disrupt our holidays, our preparations for school, when there's corpus election, many things.
Yeah.
So Kenyans were consciously moving away from December to midterm.
Mid-year.
Mid-year. Now, the moment they moved, that is why the choice of August, less disruption. They moved it from December. So subconsciously, also, they were moving away from a full 5-year term.
Yes.
Going to August.
Yes.
And they were saying, August, second Tuesday in August. And they were consciously aware that they were reducing the term of office of a president from 5 years that was provided in the old constitution. That is why they painstakingly in Article 142 define now what is the term of office from swearing in to swearing in. And even says we conduct the elections mid-year. The only thing that they may not have been aware of or they may not have calculated was an acceptance that will come sooner. But consciously, by removing it from December to August, they were reducing from...
No.
They were.
They were not reducing.
They were reducing from
you move this here to here,
but you've reduced the length.
It's just from August to the next August.
No. Before remember what they had. What they had before
was December.
Elections was December. Swearing in normally used to be in January. It was January to December. then you are consciously moving to August.
Yeah.
So you are actually moving back. You are clawing back from the 5 into a shorter period.
Which is the top of the hour, and we still have...
No, swearing in ilikuwa happen December.
Quite a bit to get through.
There was no swearing in January. Okay.
Hold on. Just before you go, Game Changer amesema, kimchezo wa town. He says, I think Ruto supporters realize the president will only serve 4 years as per the constitution. So they pushed Senator Cherargei to start the 7-year narrative, even backing a bill for that extension of term things. Mchezo wa town, urban games, these ones.
Conspiracies zimeanza wingi.
Yes.
Willis Otieno, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for shaking the mic and for raising this. Yes, let's debate it. That's why we have a constitution, so we can interpret it all and ask ourselves, what did we want to say, and is that what we've said? In the next hour, we discuss malaria. Tomorrow is World Malaria Day, and we'll be joined shortly by Liz Mtunjira to talk about malaria and what is happening around the country and around the globe. Keep it here. It's 9 a.m. Good morning.